TikTok as well, but it doesn't appear to show up for me. It's kind of strange right now. All right, let me see. Let me see some questions here. To Mama, absolutely happy to help. Let me scroll down. Thanks for the likes. Really appreciate it. Yeah, if you don't mind, just if we could get to at least 2,000 likes today and more followers, like 10,000 followers in general for the channel on TikTok, at least, I greatly appreciate it. On TikTok, you have to have 10,000 followers so that I can create a playlist. And so I know a lot of y'all have been asking questions in the comment section, like how to do this, check the stats or whatnot. So if you don't mind sharing the live show, so maybe someone you know who has an immigration question, maybe they have a lawyer ready. That's cool. If you don't mind asking them to follow, greatly appreciate it. All right. So I'm trying to look straight at both cameras here. A bit difficult. Let me see if we can do this action here. All right. I guess no, that's kind of weird. Okay. All right. So let me see some questions. Well, I guess to answer some of your questions is like someone said, Zagos, everyone is talking about only DACA and married to U.S. citizens, not 10 years requirement. That would be great, but I'm thinking based on what I see here on CBS News that was leaked. We'll see. I mean, we'll see tomorrow. I think it will be announced tomorrow by President Biden. There's not much out there, of course, because it hasn't been announced. So once there's an announcement, um, these kind of announcements, they want to hide the ball as much as possible, obviously to prevent, the conservative party from having their own little protest. So let's see. I mean, hopefully not 10 years. I mean, if there's anything, and hopefully they don't require you to be married at the time that this is announced as well. Hey, what's up, Bugio? Bucci Domato. What's up, Arthur? Good to see you, Maria. I'll get to your question soon. But yeah, I don't suspect it's going to require you to be married at the time of announcement, which I believe is tomorrow or sometime this week. But it will, if it's similar to DACA when President Obama announced it, and that was actually June 15th, 2012, that they had a requirement that on the day of announcement, you had to be in the U.S. at the time that it was announced. So I suspect the same thing for this new parole in place, or this new variation of parole in place, which, by the way, if you're wondering, like, why is John and maybe a couple other lawyers more positive about this, or I would say optimistic about this, it's because number one, parole in place already exists, but it's for military sponsors, military family members who are sponsors. Number two, the second reason, it does not require to go through Congress, thankfully. So those are two main things. That was the thing about the registry. If you remember a couple years ago, I haven't covered any type of, maybe once or twice in the last 4 years. I can't believe it's already been 4 years with Biden. Isn't that wild? But since 2020 and then 2021, I was covering more about proposals, things like that. But that's because I thought maybe there's a chance, right? But the way the Congress makeup right now, it's going to be very difficult to get something through Congress right now. So that's again why I think this is better, right? You don't have to go through Congress. Let me see here. Thank you for your questions. Thanks for your trust. Let's see. I am in Queen on TikTok. What is I-129 for? There's a 129F for fiance engaged folks. 129 in general is for employment based for non-immigrant visa. But if you're asking that kind of a specific question, sounds like you might need a lawyer or you need better explanation by your attorneys or a company's attorney. But essentially, if you're asking specific about 129, you're asking me about the correct form, then that's essentially the company's form to indicate to the USCIS that they're sponsoring you. Okay, there's many other forms, but that's the main one. right. Odalis Macias, your parents have lived here for 20 years and was told there was penalty if you leave the states for the 10-year bar. I think you mean the 10-year bar. So if you know anyone, not just yourself, but if you know anyone who has been in the US, living in America for more than 1 year and still in America, never left, there is a concern of a 10-year bar. Consider it like a 10-year restriction, but doesn't get triggered until you actually leave. One of the few things that President Obama did great about immigration is that he created a new waiver application called 601A. That allows a person, an immigrant applicant, to apply for that waiver application while in the United States, while it's processing. And hell yeah, fortunately, because right now that form is taking 4 years. So you betcha you don't want to be outside America, find yourself in a situation where you're like, oh shoot, I should have talked to a really good attorney, credible attorney or law firm to understand my situation, because now I'm being told that I can't come back to America for X years, like 10 years. So if you're in this situation where like, you just want to double check, because there are exceptions. Like if you entered America without a visa or border crossing card, or if you've been in America with a visa, you enter America with a visa and overstayed, and your sponsor is not a immediate relative category, then you need to apply for a waiver. Okay. But there could be exceptions. Unfortunately, there's no just like shortcut of a guide. We have that. We have a free guide that we created so you can understand. But all you do is give us a call. If you just want to verify, all you have to do is give us a call. All right. Yeah, you can click our form, whatnot. But if you're tech resistant to some extent, just give us a call. No worries. Our phone number is right up here. Go ahead and give it a follow, by the way, or subscribe down below if you are new to the channel. And if you're returning, welcome back. So I see Claire's question. Sorry, I don't mean it. Well, I do mean to skip. I just want to get to Claire real quick, and I'll answer other people's question. Hey, Claire. Hope you're doing great. Thank you. You wonder if it'd be for people like you who already have removal order. I hope they put some kind of emphasis, because, yeah, we already know there's a prosecutorial discretion. In some cases, they're depending on the city and state, they respond back. Some they don't respond. It's pretty ridiculous. So it's not streamlined. Even when we have conferences between attorneys and Department of Homeland Security attorneys there, they weren't there when it was President Trump, but now they are with President Biden. And even the chief counsel between different cities are like, oh, you do it that way? Oh, we do it this way. Like, can I just tell y'all how to do it? I mean, I coach some attorneys. I'm like, yo, you gotta make it easier. I talk about workflow a lot within my team to make it easier for y'all and my team, but also I coach other attorneys as well, a select few. Make it easier for y'all. Imagine a situation, anyway, I don't want to go off a tangent. So Claire, hopefully, and others who may have a removal order and from the past, hopefully they can make it easier for y'all. I mean, Supreme Court already ruled to tell conservative states, get the F out. Don't mess around with the federal policy and procedure. Okay. Let me see another question here. What's up? Where y'all watching from? Hey, Maria on YouTube. Will the F1 preference who's been here for over 10 years, who entered legally but overstayed, be included tomorrow? I suspect so, if you're married, whoever the F1, if you're married. So if you're saying F1 because you're not married, because you're sponsored by a parent, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I would love it for it to be expansive to include more people, but as far as what's been released so far, it's only for people who are married to a U.S. citizen. I'll be waiting to see if it will include people who are married to resident holders, because a lot of folks in that situation as well, that scenario. You're welcome, Claire. Happy to help, and hope you're doing good. Hey, Stu from Baltimore, Maryland. How's it going over there? When we visited Baltimore, it was, I think the main reason is for the aquarium. Apparently, you all have a pretty good aquarium, one of the top ones in America. Arthur, you lived in U.S. since 2014. In May 2024, so last month, you went to Dominican Republic for 2 weeks using your advanced parole. Does it mean that you interrupted your 9-year stay and that you live here only for 9 year, 1 month? Or maybe you're in well, I don't know. Oh, you're a TPS holder with prior overstay. Um, so yeah, even if you could have unlawful presence from before, but if you have AP, it should protect you and allow you the ability to come back. I hope maybe you're back already. I don't know. But yeah, that's why it's important to have it approved first, which Arthur, you probably have it approved, valid before traveling outside America. He said, by the way, trip was nice. Even no okay, you were back. Even no questions at the airport you were afraid to use. Yeah, absolutely. It is still nerve-wracking for folks. Glad you're back. Glad you got a man, life is short, I mean, life is short. You gotta enjoy your life and get out if you can. So glad you have advanced parole. So that reminds me, if you could be eligible for TPS, you're not sure. I mean, a lot more countries are included on TPS list, temporary protected status. And but if you know your countries, I know there's a lot of y'all commenting like, I need to apply for TPS renew. Yeah, you have to re-register. So you cannot. There is no automated system for USCIS to automatically approve you. You have to reapply for it, and you don't want to be in a situation where you had it before, it expired, and you didn't re-register in time. You got to do it timely. Okay. USCIS is not good. Does not have good customer service to say like, oh, you missed the deadline, no problem. Yeah, we'll just include you like pay like if anything, just pay double. But they don't do that, surprisingly. I mean, and also hopefully the fees will be the same for parole in place for married people. Hopefully they don't add a like a fine or something like they did like many years ago, an extra fee. All right, let me switch over here. K94, what is the process like for someone who overstayed the visitor visa, and is married to a green card holder? Um, your green card holder spouse preferably needs to become a U.S. citizen, okay? Because when you're a U.S. citizen, when a sponsored U.S. citizen and you're married to that person, it will automatically waive the unlawful presence if you overstayed your visa. But if you're sponsored by a resident, it doesn't automatically waive. So yes, your spouse can file a petition for you, go and mail it in, but you can even do it online. It's not the best system online, unfortunately, even though it hypothetically should be a click of a button. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. Um, so that's why it's best to talk to an immigration lawyer, which thank you so much for being on the channel and tuning in. So go ahead and give us a follow if you haven't started following us yet. So because I do drop some gems from time to time. I try my best every day to drop some gems, some knowledge. Um, very important because there's a lot of immigration problems. So some people, and the thing is, like K94, if you're still on, some people, you're eligible to file if you have a resident holder spouse, you're eligible, that person's eligible to file a petition for you. But the thing that people make the mistake is they also file all the other forms, the work permit, 131 for advanced parole, permission to travel, essentially, which you can leave, which is more about coming back. And then also 45. And the fees increased in April this year. So it would totally suck if USCIS mails back to you eventually, let's say months later, 12 months later, said 485.9, and then you finally talk to a lawyer, and the lawyer tells you exactly what I just said, like, well, you're overstay your visa, you're not eligible to file 485, also because the prior date is not current. I mean, there is a way to get status while staying in the U.S. and your spouse stays as a resident, but then you got to file a waiver. That takes 4 years right now. That's almost $1,000 with USCIS. So if you're gonna pay $1,000 to USCIS extra, you might as well use that money for your spouse to become a citizen, even if it takes a little longer to be eligible for it. So it's just a strategy call, okay, folks. We're happy to help walk you through it, okay. Now, if you want us to walk you through something like that in terms of which way you should do it, but you're not interested in services, all good. but we're not going to go through the checklist with you like that. That's what being a client would be. But we have the option on our links. You can click option 2 if you're like, yo, John, great info, but we don't want to hire y'all. We just want to do it ourselves. But you still have legal questions that need answers, of course, from an attorney. Absolutely. Click option 2. But we're not going to walk you through the whole thing. Okay. We're going to tell you like fiance visa or marriage visa, that kind of deal. Okay. Um, hopefully that gives you, but really ultimately it's based on what you're trying to achieve as well. Hey, Nora on YouTube, F1 category. I'm not going to, with the limited time today, I'm not going to be able to pull it up in the Visa Bulletin. But if you Google search Visa Bulletin, or even on my channel here on greencardguys.tv on the YouTube channel, you can find if the son and daughter is outside the U.S. abroad, then you have to follow the chart A. But if they're here with some kind, like say like F1 or something, or non-immigrant visa current is valid, then you follow chart B. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me hop on over here. Thank you so much for your questions. I should be on for another 10 minutes or so. I have a team meeting pretty soon. Volcon, you're on. You file the 601A. Biden does PIP and it becomes, law. Where your case still active? Can you just status inside? So that's the intent. This is, as far as we know so far, we as in like other immigration attorneys, this is intended to help people who are married to a U.S. citizen and who have at least 10 years. I could be wrong. I mean, this is just information that's been leaked. So if they change it and say, oh, you need to have 10 years instead of 10, I mean, instead of have 5 years instead of 10, great, that's wonderful. But I imagine this could help people who have filed a waiver, 601A, or they haven't filed it, but they normally would need to file 601A. They'll save you hypothetically 3 to 4 years. Okay. Aside from the money part, save you 3 to 4 years. That'd be great. So that could be people who have DACA, don't have DACA, or TPS holders, or don't have TPS. The key thing on the parole in place in general, the main benefit is that it's intended so that even if you overstayed your visa or entered without documentation, without a visa, without a border crossing card, is that you're here. Some people call that illegally. Okay. You don't have to leave the United States for the interview. And if you're going to have an interview, it'd be locally in America. Okay. Local to where you live. But also, even if you apply for PIP, it's not going to cancel your current application of 601. If you already filed a 601A application, just let it keep writing, because you already paid the fee. Maybe writing is not the right word. Let it keep processing. Jen on TikTok, how long does an IR5 visa take to be accepted after the interview? Do you mean a visa to be issued to you? Then I'm just going to move that over a bit. That it depends on when you've been documentary completed, or some people call it documentary qualified. Okay. But after an interview, I mean, some clients of ours or people that inquire in, well, when they inquire in, that's because they're delayed. And that could be 6 months, 2 months. But generally, fortunately for our clients, it's been like a week or two or less. Sue, you received the RFE. Sue from Baltimore, Maryland. Got an RFE. You have to get a medical. Okay, you don't want to get the COVID-19 vaccine. So what can you do? Yikes! I know that's tough. Tough decisions. If you can apply for 601 application to waive that vaccine requirement. But the way I understand it, you need to read the instructions for that form 601 if you don't want to take the vaccine COVID-19. But the way I understand it is that they'll more likely approve that waiver of the vaccine if whatever the reason is, like moral or religious reason to not take the vaccine, is also basically the same reason of why you didn't take other vaccines. So if you have a shot record and it shows you took the other vaccines, That could be a difficult argument. The one way I think it could be a get around or loophole is if you didn't if you did take the vaccines, other vaccines, but you you if it's a religious reason that you didn't have that religion before, okay? So maybe that can help, but again, that waiver application is roughly $1,000, roughly, maybe a little bit less. So good luck to you. But also another thing, although I don't know that many lawyers would help with the 601. Maybe some do, but in general, if you need help, if you're going to file 601 or 601A, it's already a lot of money. So if you okay, Sue, then that if you haven't taken other vaccines, then you might have a better chance in that sense. But check the instructions under the health ground inadmissibility, or if you just online, just control find, command find vaccine or something like that, or health, it'll take you straight there. Okay. But it's very like limited exception. So it's gonna be you just want to make sure because you're not going to have a system that says you can like you taking a quiz online and say like, oh, does that meet the eligibility? Unfortunately, USCIS does not have that. Okay. And because ultimately they want you to pay for them to review, assess your reasoning. So that's why it's important to check the instruction page on that. Oh, Volcan and also file 212 with 601A can file PIP inside the US. So if you have a removal order, because Vulcan, I think that's what you have if you're mentioning 212 application. Um, well, we'll see. We'll have to see. That's of course makes it a little more complex situation, but if you have a removal order, you got to get that reopened and dismissed. Okay, and then if it's going to get reopened, dismissed, then you don't need a 212. That's my quick answer. Of course, everything I'm saying right now, there's supposed to be rapid fire. I know sometimes I expand on it too in depth, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to go rapid fire because, anyways, there's the nature of live show and social media. But so with that being said, if you do want our services, okay, either way, click whatever you want. You click on our link, okay. So on YouTube and Facebook, it's down below, or on TikTok, it's above, right, where the profile page is. Under the profile picture on TikTok is the link, zaap.bio. Link. Option one is if you want our services, you schedule, you get answer a short form, self-schedule meeting, you pay this amount as a reservation fee. I hate doing it, but it does help people to show up to the meeting. That's kind of important if you want to make sure you're qualified with our services. The other thing is the second option is if you don't want our services, you just want legal answers, we allow that. Of course, makes sense, give you peace of mind, assurance, but that's option two, okay? And there's a 3-digit fee for that, all right? What starts with number one. You're welcome, Sue. Happy to help. Thanks for helping each other. Yupple, let's see what your question was. Okay, let me go down. Yupple, how does it work if one has DACA, which gives a work permit? Did I answer that then? I think I did. Okay, Fernie, someone was above Yupple. How the Harold Muskoko, 610. How would this affect your case waiting for green card through your marriage already have a work permit? Okay, great. You got a work permit and you're sponsored by a resident. From the information that's been leaked so far, it appears a person is only qualified if you're sponsored by a U.S. citizen, but that doesn't mean your green card holder or spouse can't become a U.S. citizen. Okay, just because this could be made available, fingers crossed. Pray to all your gods, or I'm going to pray to every freaking god there is. Okay, it don't matter. This has to happen. Okay, for y'all. There's many of y'all that need legal status. Okay, if for some reason also like you're like, man, I really want to team up with John's team, but for some reason we get tapped out, right? We have certain capacity levels. we're happy to refer you to other attorneys. Okay, especially if you're like, man, I just love the handshake. I mean, we love meeting people too, face to face. But if you're like, man, I really want to meet someone in like San Francisco, like in person, because that's where I live, or who knows where in Idaho, Wyoming, and you want an attorney face to face, I get it. Let us know. Contact us, okay? Because we have a pretty large network. All right. And even if we don't know someone that but who knows where Idaho, we can ask around. No problem. Okay, because y'all gotta get ready. As soon as this gets announced, you betcha I'm gonna go live show. All right. Let's see, because there could be a lot of misinformation, so we gotta clarify. And usually, how it works is that even when the president announces something like this, all the details are not clear. Okay, half the time they rely on, or most of the time, they rely on the agency to further interpret what the hell president meant. The president meant. Okay, so it could take some time to get further clarification. That same thing happened with DACA when that first came out. I'm sure the same thing happened with TPS when that first came out. Okay, um, let's see. It's essentially like delegating, that the executive branch is delegating to their agency, or not in quotations. IM 2 in 2011. Will C1 crewmen qualify for PIP? I don't think so. It's not going to change the law. And if anything, it's going to enhance or include another opportunity. So crewmen in general cannot AOS, because, of course, the intent behind allowing people that work in cruise ships is to not allow people to overstay that visa, to not jump off the ship. Jen Lopez, hey Jen, how long do U.S. visa applications take to get approved after interview? Maybe I answered your question on TikTok, but generally, with us at least, 1 to 2 weeks, because we know what to provide them. Um, but yeah, our clients that have a long delay, like 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, that's because we're going to file a lawsuit, okay, or they come to us afterwards. Okay, so a lot of great questions. I'm going to stay on for about 2 more minutes. Thanks for your patience. Fernie, it's been 2 months since you sent in your 765 renewal. You still haven't been approved. Um, that's still normal. That's not a delay necessarily. That's still normal. But if it takes 6 months, then you definitely want to check the USCIS.gov website to see, if you go to tools and resources, see if you can submit an e-inquiry. Okay. But even at 6 months, I would say at a year wait time, then you file a lawsuit for long delay of a 765 for work permit. Alrighty. What's up? What's up? I hope you all doing well. Thanks for the follows. Thanks for the shares. John, TV. So, what are the chances of DOC? I don't know what you mean DOC. Maybe it's a phrase I'm not familiar with. Doc? How quick can they sue and shut this down? That's interesting. That'd be interesting if they do sue. I mean, they could, hypothetically, they could sue fairly quickly, because I mean, I remember when DACA was announced, that was June 15th, 2012. And that was effective, I believe, September of the same year. So typically how lawsuits work is that you're supposed to, I say typically because there's been lawsuits that go all the way up to the freaking Supreme Court of the United States. And I thought, based on my experience and learning from law school, that this case should not have gone up to the Supreme Court. I mean, there was one about standing, that I think 2 cops or something didn't have standing, yet somehow it went all the way to the Supreme Court. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, but in this situation, there's supposed to be someone who's been affected, someone who suffered damage, and so we'll see. We'll see. I mean, of course, they're going to try to do it quickly, if they're going to sue. But DACA was announced, as far as I know, back then in 2012. I could be wrong, but there was no hoopla of lawsuits from red states. Maybe because it's just a different political time back then. But even back then was the conservative leaders were all about like no Affordable Care Act. Doesn't that sound horrible? I don't want to pass Affordable Care Act. I don't know. Let's see. Arthur, sorry about that. I thought I answered your question. Your trip was outside for 2 weeks. Interrupt your 9 year stay. I don't know what your concern is about the 9 year stay. Or I mean, 2 weeks outside U.S. Is that because of when you file for 485? Is that why you're wondering? But I don't know. I don't know if you have a sponsor for residency. So maybe that's why I didn't answer it on point earlier. But even if you had a trip outside US and you are being sponsored for AOS for adjustment of status, you had AP approved, so advanced parole. Um, the only time when someone says something about interrupted time, then I think about court cases. When you're removed proceedings and the clock stops is the phrase we use. So I don't doesn't sound like there's an issue there, unless you can specify. DA, you would just want someone who has a focus on workflow and up to date with tech tools like us. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're in Washington. That's right. Absolutely. We're happy to help. I mean, we've had clients pop on live shows on whichever platform. I mean, of course, I can't identify them by name, but and I've asked their case status, things like that. I'm happy to share. Like that's the best way to bypass my team. Um, Honestly, I shouldn't say that out loud. But but if you have a question about your case, because my team does a really good job. I train them to email updates every month. I don't think we do that for every single case, but for most cases, especially AOS, we update after like 3 months or so. We update every month. And the thing is, I get it with immigration. Some of y'all think like or ask, well, how come I haven't received an update kind of deal? And or that's what other attorneys tell me. And I said, well, yeah, because people pay you money to update them, even if there's not really an update. So we get it. Our law firm understands because USCIS sucks. They don't update you. So you gotta need someone to update you. Because I understand y'all want to know if it's normal or not. Thanks for the finger. I don't know what you call it. The finger heart. That's right. Appreciate it. Go ahead, give it a. Oh wow, we went over, exceeded 2,500 likes. Greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and give it 10 taps before you got to head back to work. User 0987. You got in the US with a K1. You broke up, I think. Broke? I don't know what you mean by broke then. Can I-130 get approved based marriage with another US citizen? No, you can't. If you entered, okay, if you enter United States with a K1 visa and you did not get married with that same person that you were engaged with, you cannot adjust status. As of the law currently, as of June 17th, 2024, you cannot. So, of course, as a licensed attorney, I have to advise you, you have to leave before you accrue unlawful presence, aka meaning that you do not overstay your visa. Even if you have a new significant other that wants to sponsor you. So I get it. You're concerned. You're like, bro, John, it's like a $3,000 flight. I'm not saying you got to go back to your country. Just hop on over to Canada or Mexico, depending where you live in the country. Um, Walk across the border. But don't just do that just because I said something like that. You still need to talk to an immigration attorney for one-on-one legal advice, okay? This is just get your mind thinking. The live shows get your mind thinking of the scenarios, okay? Things like that. If you want proper, adequate legal advice for your specific situation, please consult an immigration attorney. Of course, it will be our pleasure to assist you. But y'all, I got to get to my team meeting. So thank you so much. What do I think about parole? I think it's going to get announced tomorrow. Fingers crossed, y'all. Pray to every God, even if you don't know them, okay? All right. All right. Y'all have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Expect me to go live tomorrow. I don't know what time exactly they're going to announce it, but you betcha we're going to be on the news. All right. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Peace. And this is my credible source, CBS News.